Felonies, guns, lawyers, attorney's fees, going to court. The horror of all that for some people is just too much to try to figure out. And I've been kind of avoiding this topic for a while, but we have some attorneys calling us now, and I think I need to share this topic because if you've been charged with a felony, you've been indicted, you're talking with an attorney now about what all that looks like, I think it's important to lay it out for you. The reality of it. I'm not an attorney. I worked for one for years, and I'll tell you who that was in a minute. But I came out to our barn where I do my best thinking, like I can put on my thinking cap. You'll probably hear, our cows or our dogs barking. But I love this place. This is kind of like my sanctuary away from the house. But look, you've been charged with a felony, and you're trying to roll through the next couple processes of life. First of all, our jurisprudence system here in the United States, I think it's one of the best, but it's not always fair. And you're innocent until proven guilty. Just quite honestly, that is not the case. So I'm going to walk through what happened to me, right? This happened to me back in about 2000. And then I'm going to back up and I'm going to tell you the history of me with lots and lots and lots of felons. So back in 2000, I was involved in a very nasty multi-state jurisdictional child custody battle. I got custody of my daughter, but in the middle of that, my ex-wife decided it was probably in her best interest to charge me with, felony abuse, that I beat her up. And so the first thing I had to do was go turn myself in. I had to go be fingerprinted. I had to then hire a criminal defense attorney, who I'll tell you who that was in a minute. And I had to go through the process for the next year and a half of getting all those charges dropped. And those charges got dropped because not only was I not guilty, there was absolutely zero evidence of that, but the custody case was nearing its end, and there was an overwhelming amount of evidence that my ex-wife had some alcohol problems and some abuse problems of her own and threatened suicide, and all this mountain of information that came to light. And so I ended up getting custody of my daughter. But as I was growing up, my father was one of the premier criminal defense attorneys in Northwest Florida. I never knew who was coming to dinner or who I might go to a jail to visit. And I think my dad took me to the jail to visit people sometimes just to see what guys look like after they got shot up by the police. We had some to dinner because my dad, when I was about 11 or 12, he got saved, started going to church. And so he felt that it was his duty to try to, rehabilitate some of these people. And listen, some of them were truly good people that did some stupid things at the wrong time and the bad time. Some of them were drunk. Some of them were under some amazing mental duress and stress. There was a lady named Tura who shot her husband's girlfriend, and my dad got her off on temporary insanity. I do believe she was mentally, temporarily insane. But we had this coming through our house all the time. There was always some big case, something in the news, something in the paper, and I got to watch this firsthand growing up. I also never knew when I was going to come home what car was going to be sitting in the driveway, or what boat or multiples of boats were going to be parked out behind the house beside our carport. I never knew what new gun Dad was going to bring home, or odds and ends that were worth money that he might have. Because quite often, you would have someone who could pay a retainer fee maybe, but couldn't afford the continuing attorney's fees for the duration of what it takes to support a true criminal defense. Let's say you're convicted of manslaughter, and today, I don't even know what a good retainer fee is today, probably about $10,000. But that's just the retainer fee. That case is going to cost you a lot more. And when the attorney evaluates you, they're going to be asking themselves, do they have assets? Do they have things that they can sustain this legal battle with? Because if I can't get them out on bond, if I can't bond them out, do they have an income? Do they have family resources? Do they have things that they can pay me with? Because, if I'm an attorney, right, I'm $400 an hour these days. Maybe more. If you're a really good attorney, maybe you're more. But all those things come into play. But if you have been convicted of a felony, if you have been charged, not convicted, if you've been charged with a felony, that statement that you're innocent until proven guilty just really doesn't stand. And here's what attorneys are coming to us and asking us for now. And I had to make several calls to the ATF. I wanted to make absolute sure with this changing world of gun laws, and now everything gets topsy-turvy and sometimes changes with new administrations. I had to make absolute sure that I was following the law. And so we have a capital case. I'm going to give you a perfect example, okay? We have a capital case right now that we are handling the assets for. Criminal defense attorney in Nashville calls us and says, hey, this is what's happened. Here's the client. You may have seen it in the news, but he's got a ton of guns. And I would like it if you would come get them and sell them on consignment. I do not want to deal with all of them. There was a lot of guns, 74 guns to be exact. And not only do I not want to deal with them, but I don't know all the laws relating to the ATF right now. Like, I don't even know what I can do. And so I'm gonna boil that down for you. This is today. This is February the 17th, 2025. If you're watching this video after that, you may want to know if the laws have changed. But if you're convicted of a felony, not convicted. If you are charged with a felony, a violent felony, you are not going to be allowed to buy or most likely retain any guns in your home, business, property. Like, they're not going to want you to have those things. And so you need to ask yourself, is it worth getting another felony if I decide to take these guns and give them to various friends or family members or other people that I know while I go through this case? Because here's what the ATF told me, and I called them to double check. I do it every once in a while just to see if things have changed. If you are currently under indictment for a violent felony, and you've got a gun collection, you like it, you want to keep it, you're going to, in your mind, start deciding what I can do with these things. I want to encourage you to start thinking about it this way. Hey, what's it worth for me to stay out of jail, not get put in jail permanently, and am I going to be able to afford to pay my attorney the $150,000 or more this case is going to cost me? And I promise, when I say $150,000, I do not say that lightly. If you have a capital murder case and the grand jury is after you, you had better have a good attorney and one that's going to cost you probably $150,000 to get through your case, perhaps even more. You can take those guns, ask your attorney to call us or someone like us who can put those guns on consignment. Because as someone under indictment, you can't say Uncle Billy or Uncle Bobby or Daddy or Mama or my sister gets to have these guns. It's not, again, you're really not innocent until proven guilty in this country. You have to surrender those. And surrendering them means you ought to give them to a reputable FFL who can put them on consignment and turn them into cash for you to pay the $150,000 in attorney's fees that you may experience over the next 2 years. Now, this is in no way at all is this an assumption of your guilt or innocence. But it is trying to keep you from perhaps getting a second charge. Here's what else can happen. And if you think this can happen, matter of fact, I'm going to put a Guns and Gadgets video below. Here's what else can happen to you. You are under indictment. and somebody wants to tell the ATF, hey, ATF, the guy that just, was in the newspaper about all those, those charges against him for manslaughter, he's got a bunch of guns in his house. It is not unheard of for the ATF to get with local law enforcement, come to your house and pick up all of your guns while you're going through that criminal, that criminal process, while you're going through the legal system process. I'm not saying that's right. I am only telling you what is likely to happen. So, if you are fighting felony charges, particularly if it's a violent felony, I am not here to decide your guilt or innocence. The only thing that I'm here to do is to try to give you a little bit of, almost 50 years of having watched criminals come in and out of my dad's office, in and out of our house, watching my dad take things like guns, boats, and cars for trade for work, and tell you, hey, your freedom, your good legal defense, what you are going to need over the course of any criminal trial that you're going to face is more important than whether or not you have that favorite gun or a couple pistols of yours. You can always get them again if you get out. You can always get them again if you're exonerated. If you're convicted, that's a different story. But your criminal defense, getting a good criminal defense, is much more important than whether or not you can hang on to a handful of guns. My personal advice is, and it doesn't have to be us necessarily, I'll put a link to our site below, but my personal advice is to let a reputable FFL that can put a good value on them sell them for you so you can, give it the best fight you got. And afterwards, there's always life afterwards, right? Go buy something else if you're exonerated. I hope this helps. Attorneys, I'm going to do a separate video for you all because, you may be good at DUI and you may be really great at the criminal defense. But as as the ATF laws change, you may not know what the latest ATF laws are. And the last thing you want to end up with is, I've got a guy right now that's 820 guns. He just got his third felony or third DUI and got a felony. You're not going to be able to do with 800 and something guns. 820 guns. Get somebody that's reputable. Get somebody that you trust. Have them put their best effort forward to get you some liquid cash out of them so you can do what you need to do. Hey, I hope this helps. Hey, please like and subscribe, or like and subscribe wherever the button is, whichever algorithm we're using today. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.